Ladies and gentlemen, life has a way of speaking to us when we're quiet enough to listen. Sometimes it's not in the loud moments, not in the celebrations, not in the applause, but in the stillness, the discomfort, the shift we feel deep inside. Those moments are not random. They are signs. Signs that God is preparing you for something far greater than what you see right now, when everything around you feels uncomfortable, when the job that once made sense suddenly feels heavy, when the friendships that once fed you now feel empty. That discomfort is not to break you, it's to move you. Growth doesn't happen in comfort zones, when doors begin to close. You thought that opportunity was the one. You prayed for it, worked for it, and it slipped away. Don't cry over closed doors, because every closed door is a divine setup for the right one to swing wide open. When God isolates you, suddenly you don't get invited to the same places. Suddenly, the crowd you thought you needed is gone. That's not loneliness. It's alignment. God separates you so He can whisper to you without distraction. When the tests come harder, the pressure increases, the obstacles seem impossible, and everything in you says, I can't take any more. But understand this, the greater the calling, the greater the test. Diamonds are made under pressure, not in comfort. When your spirit grows restless, you wake up knowing there's more to life than what you're living. That inner stirring, that unease, it's not frustration, it's direction. It's God saying, get ready, because I'm about to move you. The truth is this, before every blessing comes preparation, before every promotion comes process. Don't fight the signs. Don't resist the shift. Trust that the discomfort, the closed doors, the isolation, the tests, and even the restlessness are not working against you. They're working for you. There comes a point in every journey where comfort turns into discomfort. It's subtle at first. You start to notice that the things which once felt familiar, easy, and secure suddenly begin to feel tight, like a pair of shoes you've outgrown. That feeling isn't a mistake. It's not something to run from. More often than not, that's the very place where God begins His preparation. When life gets uncomfortable, it's usually a sign that something bigger is being set in motion. Think about it. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. When you were a child and started growing, there were moments when your body ached, not because something was wrong, but because you were expanding. Spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, the same thing happens. God uses discomfort as a tool to stretch you, to push you beyond the limits you've set for yourself. He allows certain situations to no longer fit, not to punish you, but to push you into the next chapter of your life. Many people pray for change, but expect it to arrive wrapped in comfort. They want their lives to expand, their influence to grow, their dreams to manifest, but they want to stay where they are, doing what they've always done, surrounded by what's familiar. But that's not how God works. When He prepares you for something big, He often starts by shaking the ground beneath your feet. The job that once brought you joy may suddenly feel unfulfilling. The routines that once made sense may now feel meaningless. You wake up with a sense that something isn't right, but you can't quite put your finger on it. That's not confusion. That's divine stirring. Sometimes discomfort shows up in the form of opportunities drying up. What used to work doesn't anymore. The strategies that once brought success now seem ineffective. Doors that were once wide open begin to close. It's frustrating, but it's also purposeful. God is saying, it's time to move. If He didn't allow the discomfort, you'd stay exactly where you are, even when you've outgrown that season. Other times, discomfort comes internally. You may feel restless, uneasy, or even agitated. You can't enjoy the same conversations, the same places, the same habits. It's as if your spirit is signaling that a shift is necessary. That inner pressure is not there to harm you. It's designed to position you for what's next. When an eagle senses it's time for its young to fly, it begins to make the nest uncomfortable. It removes the soft layers, exposing the thorns beneath. The eaglets don't understand what's happening. They just know the nest doesn't feel like it used to. But that discomfort is what pushes them to spread their wings. In the same way, God stirs your spirit to push you toward flight. This kind of discomfort is often misunderstood. Many people interpret it as a sign that something is wrong with them or their lives. But in reality, it's often the opposite. It's a sign that they're right on the edge of transformation. God doesn't allow discomfort to destroy you. He allows it to develop you. He uses it to reveal strengths you didn't know you had, to draw out resilience, and to shift your focus from where you are to where He's taking you. When everything is easy, when life is predictable, it's natural to settle. It's easy to get stuck in routines, surrounded by familiarity, and convince yourself that this is enough. But when God is preparing you for something bigger, He won't let you get too comfortable. He'll stir your environment. He'll stir your emotions. He'll stir your spirit. You'll start to feel a pull that you can't ignore. You'll sense that where you are isn't where you're supposed to stay. Sometimes that discomfort comes through challenges, unexpected obstacles, sudden setbacks, or situations that stretch you. You might face responsibilities that seem beyond your ability. You may be asked to step into roles that feel unfamiliar. It's in those moments that faith is built. God places you in uncomfortable situations, not because you're unqualified, but because He knows that discomfort will awaken a strength inside you that comfort never could. Discomfort also strips away false securities. When everything is smooth, we tend to rely on ourselves, our plans, our abilities. But when things get uncomfortable, we start seeking direction. We start leaning into prayer more, listening more closely, humbling ourselves. Discomfort has a way of refocusing your attention on God's voice. It's in those seasons that He begins to download new vision, new clarity, and new strength. And let's be honest, discomfort doesn't feel good. It's not meant to. It shakes you. It challenges your patience. It tests your faith. But if you can look past the immediate feelings and recognize the purpose behind it, you'll see that this is not the end of something. It's the beginning of something greater. That uneasy feeling you have right now might just be the evidence that God is getting ready to elevate you. Ladies and gentlemen, discomfort is not your enemy. It's not a sign of failure. It's a divine signal. It's God's way of saying, I have more for you. When life starts to feel uncomfortable, don't shrink back. Don't run away, lean in, pay attention, because that's often the moment right before everything changes. There are moments in life when a door that once stood wide open suddenly shuts in your face. It can be a job you thought was yours, a relationship you believed would last forever, an opportunity you prayed for, worked for, and even dreamed about. When that door closes, it often feels personal. It feels like rejection, like failure, like something precious slipped through your fingers. But what if that closed door isn't a punishment? What if it's protection? What if it's God's way of saying, I have something better for you, but you can't step into it if you're still holding on to this? Many times we hold tight to what's familiar because it feels safe. Even if it's not perfect, at least we know it. We convince ourselves that this opportunity, this path, this plan is the best we can do. But God sees beyond what we see. He knows the road ahead. He knows the battles we can't anticipate. And when He closes a door, it's not because He wants to deprive us. It's because He wants to guide us toward something that will align more deeply with our purpose. Closed doors are one of the clearest ways God redirects your path. You might have prepared for something, poured your energy into it, and felt sure it was the right move. Then suddenly it falls apart. You don't get the call back. The contract doesn't go through. The person you trusted walks away. In that moment, it's easy to question everything. But looking back on those moments, many people realize that what felt like a loss was actually the first step towards something greater. When one door closes, our instinct is often to push harder, to force it open, to question why it shut in the first place. We replay scenarios, we look for blame, we dwell on what could have been. But sometimes the door is closed for good reason. Forcing your way through a door God has shut can lead to unnecessary pain. It's like trying to live in a house that's under demolition. The structure isn't meant to hold you anymore. It's served its purpose, and now it's time to move on. There are seasons in life when God uses closed doors to break attachments that no longer serve your destiny. Maybe that job gave you stability for a time, but it was never meant to be permanent. Maybe that relationship helped you grow, but it wasn't meant to be your final destination. Closed doors make room for better opportunities that you couldn't have embraced while your hands were full holding onto the old. Sometimes, the door that closes doesn't just surprise you, it breaks you. You planned your future around it. You built expectations on it. And when it shuts, it feels like everything crumbles. But often, those painful endings are exactly what's needed to shift you onto the right track. If the door hadn't closed, you would have settled. You would have accepted less than what you were created for. God allows endings to clear the path for new beginnings. There's a story in every person's life where a door closed, and in time, it made sense. That rejection letter from the job that seemed perfect, that breakup that felt unbearable, that business deal that fell through. Later on, something better appeared, an opportunity that fit like a key in a lock, something that elevated you beyond what you imagined. It's in those moments that you realize the door didn't close to hurt you, it closed to protect and redirect you. Closed doors also build faith. When everything goes our way, we rarely lean into trust. But when something we wanted slips away, we're faced with a choice. Either we cling to disappointment, or we trust that God has a plan bigger than ours. That's where faith grows, in the space between what closed and what hasn't opened yet. It's in that waiting period that character is built, patience is developed, and clarity begins to form. Another truth is that not every door that opens is meant to be walked through, and not every closed door is meant to be forced. Sometimes God shuts doors because He knows what's behind them isn't for you. He sees the details you can't. You may see opportunity, but He sees distraction. You may see comfort, but He sees limitation. You may see a dream, but He sees something that will delay your destiny. Trusting those closed doors requires maturity and spiritual vision. It's also important to recognize that sometimes the door isn't closed because of something wrong with you. It's closed because the timing isn't right. God's preparation often involves aligning circumstances, people, and opportunities in ways you can't see. A closed door today may be the very thing that positions you for the right door tomorrow. If He let you through too early, you might not be ready. If He opened it too soon, it might not sustain you. Closed doors often protect you from premature steps. Ladies and gentlemen, when a door closes, don't waste your energy staring at it. Don't let bitterness take root. Instead, lift your eyes, look around. Trust that there's another door, one that's designed specifically for you, waiting to be revealed. What feels like rejection is often redirection. What seems like the end may be the beginning of something far greater than you imagine. There are seasons in life when, without warning, everything around you grows quiet. The phone stops ringing like it used to. Invitations that once came frequently begin to fade. People you once shared everything with start to drift away. It can feel confusing, lonely, and even a little painful. But what if that isolation isn't abandonment? What if it's not people forgetting you, but God separating you for something greater? Sometimes, when He wants to speak to you clearly, He removes the noise. He pulls you away from the crowd so that His voice becomes the loudest one in your life. When we're surrounded by people, opinions, and distractions, it's easy to lose focus. We get caught up in the rhythm of the world, constant movement, endless conversations, the pull of social validation. But divine preparation often requires separation. God doesn't isolate you to harm you. He isolates you to realign you. He takes you away from certain people and environments because they're no longer meant to shape your next chapter. The season you're stepping into may require clarity, strength, and a level of focus that can't be developed in the middle of chaos. Many great transformations begin in isolation. When God is preparing someone for something significant, He often pulls them into a quiet place. It's in those moments that He reveals vision, builds character, and refines purpose. The noise of the world may have been drowning out His instructions. The opinions of others may have been influencing your decisions more than His guidance. So He creates distance. He removes certain voices, not because they were all bad, but because they were too loud. Sometimes isolation happens through circumstances beyond your control. People walk away. Friendships fade. Opportunities that kept you busy suddenly disappear. It's not that you did anything wrong. It's that God is shifting your environment. He's saying, "Come closer. I need your attention." And often, in that quiet, uncomfortable place, He begins to do His deepest work. He reveals parts of yourself you didn't see before. He heals wounds that were masked by constant activity. He strengthens the foundation of who you are so that when the next season begins, you're not shaken by the weight of what's coming. Isolation also protects you from influences that could derail your growth. Not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. Some relationships are for a season, not a lifetime. When God sees that certain people, mindsets, or environments could limit your progress, He gently pulls you away. You may not understand it at first. It may feel like rejection, but later you realize it was protection. He saw things you couldn't see. He knew what was necessary to prepare you for what's ahead. Another powerful aspect of isolation is that it strengthens your spiritual ears. When everything gets quiet, your sensitivity to God's direction increases. You start to hear what you couldn't hear before. Ideas flow more clearly. Purpose becomes sharper. You begin to sense shifts in your spirit that you were too distracted to notice. What once felt like silence begins to feel like divine conversation. The stillness becomes a classroom, and God becomes the teacher, instructing you in ways that busy seasons never allowed. Isolation can also reveal where your trust truly lies. When you're surrounded by people, it's easy to lean on them for comfort, encouragement, or direction. But when you're alone, you have no choice but to lean on God. You learn to find strength not in applause, not in validation, but in His presence. That shift builds resilience. It develops an inner strength that doesn't depend on external support. You stop needing the crowd to confirm what God has already spoken. The truth is, isolation is rarely comfortable. It's a refining process. It brings you face to face with yourself. It removes the layers you've built to fit in. It strips away the distractions, leaving only what's real. But in that raw, quiet space, something beautiful happens. Your identity becomes clearer. Your purpose takes shape. You start to see that the isolation wasn't to leave you alone. It was to prepare you to stand strong when no one else is around. Sometimes isolation comes just before elevation. Before God positions you for something greater, He separates you so that your foundation is solid. He doesn't want the noise of the crowd to drown out the clarity of His direction. He doesn't want external opinions to shape decisions meant to be led by Him. He wants you to trust His voice above all else. So He takes you into a season where it's just you and Him. Ladies and gentlemen, isolation is not a sign that you've been forgotten. It's a sign that you've been chosen for refinement. It's a pause, a sacred space where God prepares your heart, your mind, and your spirit for what's next. While it may feel lonely, it's in that very place that some of the most powerful transformations begin. There's a moment in every journey toward something great when the pressure begins to build. Just when you think you've already faced enough challenges, new ones arise. The weight gets heavier, the obstacles become bigger, and the road ahead seems steeper than before. It can feel overwhelming, even unfair, but this moment is not a coincidence. When God is preparing you for something significant, the tests intensify right before the breakthrough. It's not to break you down, it's to build you up so that when the blessing arrives, you're strong enough to carry it. Think about any meaningful victory in life. Before the triumph, there's always a test. Before the promotion, there's pressure. Before the growth, there's resistance. Just like muscles grow when they're challenged through resistance, your faith, character, and resilience grow when life tests you. If everything stayed easy, you wouldn't develop the strength needed to handle bigger responsibilities. God uses challenges to sharpen you, to refine you, and to ensure that when your moment comes, you're ready for it. These tests often come unexpectedly. You're on the right path, doing what you believe you're meant to do, and suddenly something shakes your world. Doors you thought were secure begin to rattle. People you trusted start to pull away. Plans that felt solid suddenly fall apart. In those moments, it's easy to wonder if you took a wrong turn, but often it's exactly the opposite. The intensity of the test is evidence of the size of the calling. The closer you get to your breakthrough, the more the pressure increases. It's like the final stretch of a race. The beginning may have moments of ease, but the end demands everything you've got. The last mile is where endurance is tested. Your legs ache, your lungs burn, and your mind screams to quit. But if you keep going, that final push leads you to the finish line. In the same way, when the challenges in your life intensify, it's often a sign that you're closer than ever to stepping into something greater. These tests also expose what's inside you. It's easy to talk about faith, strength, and perseverance when everything is going smoothly. But true character is revealed under pressure. When the storm hits, you discover what you're really made of. God doesn't increase the tests to make you doubt yourself. He does it to reveal to you that you're stronger than you think. He uses those moments to pull out potential that comfort never could. When tests intensify, many people are tempted to quit. They interpret the struggle as a sign that they're on the wrong path. But in reality, it's often the opposite. Resistance is a sign of progress. Just like an airplane faces the most resistance when it takes off, you'll face your greatest challenges when you're about to elevate. If you turn back in those moments, you miss the very thing you were being prepared for. The pressure isn't meant to stop you, it's meant to launch you. Another powerful truth is that tests before breakthroughs teach you how to handle what's coming. If the blessing came without the testing, it could crush you. You wouldn't have the endurance, the discipline, or the wisdom to sustain it. God allows certain storms not to punish you, but to prepare you. He strengthens your patience, deepens your trust, and sharpens your focus through trials. These experiences create a foundation that can handle the weight of greater responsibility. Consider how gold is refined. It doesn't become pure by sitting untouched. It's placed in fire. The intense heat removes impurities, shaping it into something valuable and strong. Similarly, before stepping into your next level, you're placed in refining seasons. The heat increases, but so does your strength. The fire doesn't destroy you, it purifies you. Sometimes these tests involve facing things you never expected to face. It could be personal loss, financial struggle, relational strain, or an inner battle with doubt and fear. But even in those moments, there's purpose. God uses those tests to deepen your reliance on Him. You realize that your own strength has limits, and that's when you lean fully on His. It's in the hardest moments that you often experience the deepest growth. The intensity of the test is also a way of preparing you for impact. When something big is coming, the preparation matches the magnitude of the mission. The tests are tailored to strengthen the exact areas you'll need in the next season. If you're about to lead, the tests may stretch your patience and wisdom. If you're about to step into influence, the tests may shape your character and integrity. Every challenge has a purpose, even when you can't see it yet. Ladies and gentlemen, when the tests grow stronger, don't mistake it for defeat. It's often the clearest sign that your breakthrough is near. The storm doesn't come to knock you down, it comes to push you into position. The pressure is proof of the promise. If you can endure the test, you'll be ready to carry the weight of what God is preparing for you. There comes a time when everything in your life looks fine on the outside, but something deep within begins to stir. You can't quite explain it, but you feel it. A quiet restlessness starts to grow in your spirit. The routines that once satisfied you no longer do. The conversations that once inspired you now seem repetitive. The places where you used to feel comfortable suddenly feel too small. This inner stirring isn't random. It's not a sign that something is wrong with you. More often than not, it's a divine signal. A nudge from God telling you that change is coming and that He's guiding you towards something greater. This restlessness is one of the most subtle and powerful ways God communicates. Unlike external signs, which are loud and obvious, this one happens within you. It's the gentle but persistent voice that says, "There's more." You wake up feeling unsettled, not in a fearful way, but in a way that makes you question whether you're truly living in alignment with your purpose. You go through your daily routines, but your heart knows you're being prepared for something new. It's like being in a room that once felt spacious, but now the walls feel closer, as if you've outgrown the space you're in. Many people misinterpret this restlessness. They think they're ungrateful, impatient, or simply dissatisfied. But this isn't about discontentment, it's about direction. God often uses this inner unease to get your attention when everything else seems settled. When you've reached the limit of your current season, He places a divine stirring inside you to let you know it's time to expand. It's His way of saying, "You can't stay here forever. I'm calling you to more." This inner stirring can manifest in different ways. Sometimes it's a strong sense that where you are is no longer where you're meant to be. You may love your job, your environment, or the people around you, but something inside whispers that it's not your final destination. Other times, it comes as a growing desire to pursue something new, to step out of the familiar, to explore a path you've been hesitant to take. It can feel both exciting and unsettling at the same time. Often, this restlessness comes before you have all the answers. God doesn't always show you the entire plan right away. He gives you a sense that something must shift, but he doesn't reveal every detail. That's because this inner stirring is meant to draw you closer to him. It pushes you to pray more, to seek his guidance more intentionally, to quiet the noise around you so you can discern his direction. Instead of relying on logic alone, you start relying on his voice. This divine stirring is also a sign of growth. Just like a seed that begins to sprout beneath the surface, something inside you starts to break open. The outer shell of your current season can't contain what's growing within you. God uses restlessness to prepare you for the next stage. It's a reminder that comfort zones are not meant to be permanent homes. They are temporary places for growth, but eventually, you must move forward. Many people ignore this stirring because it doesn't come with a clear map. They wait for all the steps to be revealed before they act. But if you wait for complete clarity, you'll often miss divine timing. God doesn't always give you the full blueprint. He gives you a push, a sense, a stirring, and expects you to trust him with the details. That inner restlessness is like a spiritual compass pointing you toward something beyond your current horizon. Sometimes, this restlessness isn't about physical movement, but about transformation within. It may not mean you're supposed to leave your job, city, or environment, but that you need to grow spiritually, mentally, or emotionally. God may be calling you to rise to a new level of responsibility, maturity, or vision. The restlessness is there to remind you that stagnation is not your destiny. You're meant to evolve, to stretch, and to step into new levels of purpose. This feeling can be uncomfortable because it disrupts your sense of stability. You may not be able to explain it to those around you. People might tell you to be content, to settle, to stay where you are. But deep down, you know something is shifting. It's as if your spirit is ahead of your reality, pulling you toward a future that hasn't fully manifested yet. This is often where faith comes in. You have to trust that what you're feeling isn't random. It's intentional. This inner stirring can also act as a safeguard. Sometimes, God places restlessness in your heart to keep you from getting too attached to a season that's about to end. If you didn't feel the unease, you might hold on to something that's no longer meant for you. He uses that inner nudge to loosen your grip, to prepare your heart for change before the change arrives. Ladies and gentlemen, that restlessness you feel is not something to fear. It's something to lean into. It's God's way of preparing your heart before he moves your feet. It's his signal that a shift is on the horizon. When you learn to recognize and trust that stirring, you stop resisting change and start aligning with it. You begin to understand that what feels unsettling is actually divine guidance, pointing you toward the next chapter of your journey. Every great journey begins with a series of signs, and if you've been paying attention, you'll notice that God rarely moves without first preparing. The discomfort you feel is not random, it's the stretching before the elevation. The closed doors aren't rejection, they're redirection toward something better. The isolation you're experiencing isn't abandonment, it's God pulling you closer so he can speak clearly. The intensified tests aren't punishment, they're preparation for the weight of the blessing ahead. And that stirring in your spirit isn't confusion, it's divine guidance, a gentle push toward your next season. God's preparation doesn't always look like progress, but it always produces purpose. He moves strategically, aligning your heart, your surroundings, and your character for what's to come. So when these signs appear, don't run from them, lean in. Trust the process even when you can't see the full picture. Keep your faith steady, your eyes open, and your heart aligned. Because when God is preparing you, it's never for something small. He is shaping you for something big, something beyond what you've imagined. Your role is to recognize the signs, embrace the season, and be ready to step into the destiny He's setting before you. The preparation may be challenging, but the promise on the other side is worth it. Tiako.